Hey, it's Rani here, and welcome to my channel. For the next 6 weeks, I'm going to share with you my reflections of a book I absolutely love. And the book is called The Power of Systems: How to Create a Life That Works, and is by Steve Chandler and Trevor Timbeck. I've spoken about this book many times before in this channel, and this time is going to be different. I'm going to take you through the book, the chapters of the book, and my reflections. Now, why I'm doing that is because, as part of my Inner Freedom 6 weeks course for women, we normally select a book to read together, and I split up the book to 6 weeks, and then we all share our learnings. And this time I just wanted to make it more public so that anyone else who wants to go deeper into a book and something as special and powerful as this book and start to apply it in their life will also get benefit, because I'll share what I'm seeing from my reading of the books. I have split up this book to 42 different chapters, meaning that every single week for 6 weeks we are going to look at 7 chapters, and I'm not going to go chapter by chapter, but I'm going to give you the essence of the first 7 chapters and the second 7 chapters and so on. So let's get cracking. So before this book came out, I dreaded the term systems. It seemed so unattractive to me. Oh, boring systems. So we have to go through our policies and procedures and all these systems. Like, oh my goodness, I can't do it. And now I'm seeing the systems in such a different light, especially because they talk about systems as a paradigm, as a different way of saying things, as a different way of working and making things work. So let's dive into the chapters. Chapter 1, Steve Chandler talks about his life being saved by a system. So he used to have addiction problem and many other issues, but addiction problem was one of them many years ago. And so he talks about going to the AA to resolve his addiction problem. And he noticed that the question he used to ask himself is, what's wrong with me? Like, why do I drink so much? And that was a system. And he didn't realize that actually it was the paradigm of the mind. If we ask a question like, what's wrong with me? The mind will come up with all kinds of stories and say, this is what's wrong with you. And he had done it so many times. And he really thought that he had to give up alcohol for good, and he just needed to start today and just stop drinking. So he was in for a pleasant surprise when he went for his AA meeting, Alcoholic Anonymous. And he said, so don't I have to quit drinking for good? And the person said, the facilitator said, do you think that's going to work? And he said, not really, because I'm not sure I can do it. And so the facilitator said that, what about just for today? And he said, yeah, I can quit drinking just for today. You sure, only for today? And the facilitator said, that's a system that all you need to do is not have a drink today. And that was when he embarked on a beautiful system that saved his life. So he called it just for today's system. We keep asking the question, why? If things go wrong, we are trying to figure out why. Why does this happen to me? Why am I like this? What's wrong with me? And we have all these questions, and the mind, like I said, can take us down a rabbit hole. And what if there's nothing wrong with us? All that's not what if all that's happening is that we have got a system that's simply not working for us right now? So if you are putting on weight, maybe you need to look on a current system rather than blaming yourself and saying, I have no motivation and I'm a loser. Perhaps you could look at figuring out, what's my current system that's helping me put on weight? And then you can see, yeah, this system is perfect for putting on weight. So if you are wanting to lose fat, in other words, be healthy, what new systems can you adopt? And you don't have to think about for the rest of my life. You can just have a system for today. And in terms of discipline, many of us don't like the word discipline, but think about it. It's not harsh, or it's not like disciplining a naughty child, because most of us have that kind of association with the word discipline. What is discipline is like diligence. And what if we can have diligence for one day? What if we can have the power of self discipline for one day? So that's a new system. The second chapter is called The Lights of Another Ship Approaching. And basically, they're saying, what if there's another way to live a life? This is saying that people never leave a sinking ship until they see the lights of another ship approaching. In other words, that until we see a new possibility, we might not want to change our ways. And say, and so they say that this book is the light of another ship approaching, and as a possibility. And a really interesting thing has happened to me and many people who have read this book, is that we start to see systems at play everywhere. Everything is a system. So think about it. We all have systems. We are not even thinking about it. Like when we wake up in the morning, we have a system, right? We go to the bathroom and we brush our teeth. So that's a system. We never called it a system, but it's called brushing a teeth system. Some people have a morning routine. They brush the teeth, then they'll grab their coffee and they'll do journaling or they'll do meditation. So they have a system in place that works for them. And so we know that there's some systems we create consciously, but there are so many unconscious systems, or shall I rather say unexamined systems. So some of the systems I have written down here is, one could be when I remember system. Some people say, I don't drink enough water. I know I should. And when I say, what's your current system of making sure you drink enough water? And they say, I drink water whenever I remember. So I said, there you go. That's your current system, when I remember system. And then the other one is when then system. When I feel better, then I'm going to mow the grass. That's the when then system. We have lots of unexamined systems. So we might not call them systems, but they are systems in a way. And have fun with this. Throughout the first 7 chapters, they keep reminding us of the distinction between the mind paradigm and the systems paradigm. They're saying clearly that they're not blaming psychology. Psychology has its role, and yet we can't just get stuck there, because the real work or the action happens in the systems paradigm. I know of many people who say, I know it's my thinking, but, and they're caught up in the mind paradigm. It's just not workable. We will come up with a lot of theories, and then we also procrastinate a lot, and we also blame ourselves. What's wrong with me? Ultimately, it comes down to, maybe I'm not good enough, I'm not capable enough, I'm not strong enough. And then we try to fix ourselves before we even do what needs to be done. And so amateur psychology can do more harm than good, meaning beating ourselves up and trying to figure out the root cause. It's nothing to do with that. It's simply that the current systems we have got in place are not working. Here, I want to share an example of where we know that there are limitations to how much we can go into psychology. So when I was working in the NHS, my patients used to have therapy, and they would have, say, for example, something called CAT therapy or cognitive analytical therapy. And in a way, it sheds light on why they do what they do, relationship dynamics as they were growing up, and relationship with their family, and particularly parent figure. And it gives them a sense of the vicious cycle, their thought patterns, and the behavior, and where it all stems from. And multiple times my patients have said, after they complete the cat therapy, is that now I have a really good understanding of where my problems come from, but I still don't feel any better. And that's the thing. If you want results, if you want to shift to what's workable, need to create a new system. A system could be that I keep dwelling on the past and I think about if only this had happened. That could be a system that is called a stuck system, a vicious stuck system, or a guilt system. All the systems are interconnected. So if a particular system is not working and we adjust the other systems because they are all interconnected, we have a functioning overall system. The systems paradigm is very workable, and we can start with tiny habits. I love that we can start tiny, and it's about the reps. The more reps we put in, the better we become. Systems by themselves, they could be great systems, but if you don't practice using those systems, they're not going to work. It's like anything else in life. We can have a system of going to the gym and working out 4 times a week, but if we don't go to the gym and don't use the system, it's not going to work. The other thing about the system paradigm is also taking responsibility for our own life, taking ownership of our own life. One of the things I've shared with my clients is that we have been given two fundamental abilities. One is the ability to respond, which is called responsibility or responsibility. The other is the ability to react, and I call it for fun reactability. So the more we put systems in place and we take actions and we practice and we do the reps, we are taking responsibility for our life. In other words, we are harnessing more of our ability to respond and work something out. Otherwise, if we are not using the systems paradigm and dwelling more in the mind's paradigm, we are in a way harnessing more of our ability to react and get upset and get frustrated. We have the freedom to choose. By switching over to the system paradigm, we don't take things personally. The mind paradigm is, in a way, a personal paradigm, meaning we are thinking about I, me, and we react. We make it very personal. Whereas the systems paradigm is more impersonal, and we don't take it very personally because we know it's to do with our systems. Sometimes we think, build up a mindset and try to be motivated and inspired, but unless we have a system of ensuring we put aside some time to read a book, even a 7 page a day system. By the way, that's the system I created some time ago to make sure I read a book every day. And if 7 pages a day is too much, 1 page a day, that's the system, right? So when we are doing that, we are able to respond to life, and we can be committed because we have a structure in place. When we exercise our ability to respond, In a way, we are widening the gap between a stimulus or a trigger and the way we choose to respond to the trigger or the stimuli. And Viktor Frankl, the famous psychiatrist who spent 3 years or maybe a bit longer in the concentration camp, explained about the gap between the stimulus and the response, and we have a freedom to choose. When we practice the power of systems and keep systems in place, we are more likely to respond to any challenges that life throws at us. Whereas if we don't have the systems paradigm and we are dwelling more in the mind paradigm, it's like there's a trigger and then we are constantly getting triggered. And it's not a trigger, it's just a stimuli, but we see it as a threat of some kind and we keep reacting, and then we are harnessing more of the power to react, reactability versus responsibility. So I hope this is useful. Let me know what you think. I will put the link to this book that you can purchase on Amazon wherever you are. Let me know what you think. Bye for now.